Thanks, Josh. And I think that leads perfectly into, once everybody is in alignment on what the product is and what the value is to everybody within the ecosystem, and the thing is built, then it's time to launch and then measure and then learn and then iterate, right? And launch is a really important phase, obviously, but it's not one size fits all. You need to make sure that the launch plan that you design, and this is something that companies might need help with, makes sense for that program. Is it a full bore market launch, and that's what makes sense to your target market, or is it a phased approach where you start with an MVP, and maybe a friends and family kind of approach, and then you monitor that activity for a month and kind of tweak things, and then go to a slightly larger launch and then iterate over that. And so that launch planning is critical. And then once it is launched, how do you then scale it? Throughout the implementation, you're working on that go-to-market planning, and then it's time to execute that, and really scale the program. And again, it goes back to me mentioning having the flexibility in the platform and the product to make changes efficiently based on the things that you learn. And that goes really to the last bullet here. I'll jump a couple with the data and reporting. So you need to make sure that you have that real-time granular data, both at the lowest level and at a summary level, to learn from and make decisions and make adjustments as the program progresses. And then the customer care and compliance piece are really the operationalization of what we've previously talked about in terms of how do you serve the customers when they have questions or they run into issues, be it with the card itself or the mobile app or any of those pieces, operationalizing the plan that everybody's already developed in an alignment on. And that goes doubly for compliance, because now the cards are out in the world, they're being used. And again, I mentioned fraud is a fact of life. So if you have the right plan in place and it's operationalized appropriately because you have the right partner with the right team and the right expertise, then when something does happen, that again, it's identified immediately and it's swiftly corrected.
Yeah, that's a great point, Carter. And I wanted
And then I
to,
think the next piece of it is, if we have time, Meredith, is maybe
yeah,
talking more about the applications.
yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to come back to briefly the data and the reporting you had mentioned, because when I think of that iterate stage, that learning and iterate stage, that is so critical. If you're noticing customers are having a hard time doing some level of sign up or hitting a certain roadblock, you need to know that right away and be able to correct it. And then work with a partner who, through that, components and configuration stage, has flexibility to shift things if you need to in order to make the program evolve as your business needs change. So there are always going to be ways you want to play with those levers going forward in the future.
Yeah, and I don't want to. That's absolutely right, and I don't want to paint a picture of you're always reacting to something negative, right? Like you're
Good
going
point.
to be getting card spend activity, and very likely you have theories about your customers' behavior and where they're spending the money and when they're spending the money that are built into the model and the configurations and everything. But what if you find out that actually they're spending it over here and not so much over here? That's a good thing, right? Like you're learning really valuable things. And again, being able to adjust the model or adjust the configurations based on positive activity in the market.
Yeah, great point. Josh, is there anything you want to add here before we go to popular applications?
I think Carter hit on it at the end, right? Like if we're thinking about launching a card program, it's all about how do you drive the core business, whether it be optimizing something or growing something, right? And leveraging the insights that we get here to spread through your organization as an additional decision-making input is really, really valuable in when thinking about how do you touch customers in value-added ways. And so the data and reporting is a key insight to leverage, whether it be in your marketing organization or your retention organization, to figure out a little bit more in a real-time way what your customers are thinking and then how you can serve them in better, more efficient ways.